Hello, AC&D educators. So I know that reading emails can be exhausting, especially having to read 170 students' pieces of work on a daily basis. So I thought that I would differentiate my dissemination of tips so that you can improve your professionalism and your work, but also to hopefully do it in a video form to make it more enjoyable for you. So what I want to talk to you all today about is starting and ending points. I've gotten a pulse from educators that it's a good area to refresh. And I've also gotten a pulse that there seems to be a lull in students in terms of actually desiring to access their prior knowledge, or maybe giving the impression that they literally don't have any prior knowledge. And we all know that certain students come to us with different levels of aptitude, or in other words, may be more prone to work or not work. But if we get creative in the ways that we write starting and ending points, we can hopefully improve engagement and value in learning. So first, let's talk about the purpose of starting and ending point. The purpose of starting and ending point is so that students can access their background and prior knowledge and understandings. Ending point is separate. Ending point is when we give students an opportunity to look ahead to consider the purpose for their learning of the objectives. So first, let's talk about what is background and prior knowledge and understandings. Well, most simply, it's things that they already know, things that they have preconceived notions about. Maybe those preconceived notions are right or wrong. So that can imply that we might be actually accessing misconceptions, which are very valuable, actually, as well as accessing prerequisite understanding. That's very important for the hard sciences, STEM, education, math, science, technology, etc., things that they already know, and foundational understandings, things that they should have learned in previous grades that would inform their learning of the new material, or their exploration, rather, of the new material. Now, questions, open-ended questions that really help the students explore their brain will open up a lot of these things, and it will be your job to relationally meet with students and discuss their answers. So maybe they answer something completely wrong in starting and ending point, and that's okay. Actually, that's great, because what that means is that they're showing you some misconceptions or some preconceived notions that need to be redirected. This gives you an opportunity to fill gaps that you would not have necessarily been able to accomplish if you were just providing new information in a whole group setting. When we're providing information in a whole group setting, it's difficult to hear every single student's prior understandings and correct those things. And so this is a great opportunity to uncover those skeletons in the closet. So let's think about how to uncover some skeletons with certain starting and ending point examples. So here's a starting and ending point that I saw in an anatomy and physiology unit of study in the matrix. Here's one of the first questions. How does chemistry affect the body? This is a great start to a starting point. However, if we were to really emphasize that the student is to think about these things and consider what they already know, it might be best to rewrite it to say something like this. How do you think chemistry affects the body? Another question. When body chemistry is out of sync, what happens to our health? We could ask, when body chemistry is out of sync, what do you think happens to your health? What do you already know about body chemistry? Or what is body chemistry? I wouldn't put all of these together in one, but I would maybe choose one as kind of an engager question to get them just to start thinking. Another example, how do elements form body matter? I could break this down even more to just say, list some types of body matter. What are those made of? Or even better, what have you heard that those are made of? That's kind of an oddly written question. If I weren't doing this off the cuff, I would probably write it a little bit more clearly. But have you heard that your body is made of something? Your skin. If we broke down your skin, what would it be composed of? Now, if you have students who are maybe freshmen or younger, this word composed might be a little bit too complex for them, so I would use simpler language. It's not dumbing it down, it's just making it easy for them to start brainstorming. Ooh, that's another good thing. Starting an ending point gets them to start brainstorming. In my trainings at the beginning, I oftentimes called this a brain dump. Dump your brain. What's already in your brain? Let's just dump it all out there. See what there is. Another way to do this is to focus on the learning objective for your unit. I grabbed a learning objective from a government unit, and let's see if we can come up with some creative starting point and ending point questions to have the student consider, or activities to have them do to start discovering what's already in their brain, making them feel empowered that they already have something there to work with. Here is the learning objective. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. You can read it. But the main points are that we're talking about different forms of government. That's what we need to learn in this unit. And also their impact on human life. Okay, so that's the gist of it. So I want to ask the student what they already know about these things. Now I could ask it simply, or I could be really creative and say, list some movies where the characters were heavily impacted by government. Where the government really made a difference, maybe positive or negative, in the movie character's life. And so they would list those movies, and after listing those movies, write a description of characteristics of those governments in the movie. Were those governments like the government of your country, i.e. America, or were those governments different? Have them start to explore these sorts of things. Again, this is just off the cuff, and I could refine this a lot, but I've used something that accesses their prior understandings, and that's something as trivial as movies, pop culture. We can gain a lot from pop culture. Pop culture educates us a lot. And so what we as educators need to do is to tap into how students have been educated by pop culture and then start to refine those understandings. But first we need to know what those understandings are first. And so using something as trivial as movies or maybe lyrics in a song or certain things that they've seen on the news and how governments are influential. And then start to have them list, well, what do those governments look like? What are some characteristics of those governments? We can start to tap into those things that are going to better inform their learning of the objective. Just an idea. Last example, here are some psychology learning examples. Students will understand the major divisions of the human nervous system. Students will understand the functions of the different parts of the central nervous system, different parts of the brain. What does each part do? How genetic factors determine who we are? How hereditary and environmental factors interact to affect our development? These are huge things. Do students have any prior understanding of these things? Maybe not purely academic understandings, but they have life understandings, and they have physical examples that they've experienced. So let's engage that. Did we have engage up near our purpose? That could be helpful. So background and prior knowledge and understandings, it's a brain dump to engage our mind. So let's engage a student's mind. What would you do? The major divisions of the human nervous system. First I just want to know if they even know what the nervous system is. What do you all... Oh, let's mix this up. I've been writing a lot of what do you already know. When you think of the word nerves, what comes to mind? My gosh, that's a really great beginning thought. I could have them create a web. Create a web with nerves being the central circle. Then have branches coming off of that circle and indicate things that you already know and have heard of before that are related to nerves. Think of your body. This would be a really great way to get them to start really thinking about this. I would also maybe even give them a tip. Don't go searching on the internet yet. Just think about what you already know. And this way the students feel like they have the freedom to be a little bit messy. And then we can really start to have a conversation about what you already know, what the gaps are in your understanding, and how we can fix those so that true application and true understandings of these concepts can take place. I know this was a very elaborate explanation, but I'm hoping that we can continue to refine the scope of how we write starting and ending points. And as you can tell, I have certain ways that I tend to write, and all of mine start to sound the same, especially up here. But I made a point to really critically think about how I was writing and start to come up with some different things. What do you think of when you hear this word nerves? What comes to mind? That took a little bit of thought process from me, And I know that it takes time and energy from you, but it's for the betterment of the students. So happy writing, and I hope that this video has been informative, and I hope nothing more but to encourage you in your professional development. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great afternoon.